Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Gifts and goodies galore await you at Miss Millie's in downtown Lawrenceburg. From brands you know and love, like E. Newton Jewelry and Tyler Diva Wash, to unique specialty gifts, you will find it all here. Whether you're looking for the perfect gift for someone you love or shopping for yourself, shopping local is the way to go. We have home goods, women's fashion and accessories, baby items, and lots of seasonal decorations. Our friendly staff will welcome you in, help you find what you need, and even package your gifts for you. Also, we can't forget to tell you about our popular bridal registry. Future brides can come and create their perfect registry with us. So stop by Miss Millie's today. We're located in the northeast corner of the square in downtown Lawrenceburg.
Volco Auto Supply in Lawrenceburg has a legacy of being a family-owned and operated company. Since 1927, our business has grown and evolved into today's one-stop source for all your automotive supplies. But in that time, one thing has stayed the same, and that's our commitment to our customers and their needs. At Volco Auto Supply, you'll find everything for your car, truck, or even fleet of vehicles, but with good old-fashioned customer service the way it needs to be. That's Volco Auto Supply, 416 Buffalo Road in Lawrenceburg. Visit VolcoAuto.com.
Welcome to the newly remodeled Brass Lantern. For over 30 years, we've been serving delicious food to excellent people. Brass Lantern takes pride in authenticity, serving fresh, homemade food to please any member of the family. From mouth-watering to one-of-a-kind steaks served with gourmet marinade, to salad with our signature honey mustard dressing, specialty fruit tea, drafts, and much more. Our food is always prepared daily. Whether you come in with friends or family, you'll appreciate that fresh is better.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome in here to the SEC Tailgate, a Friday edition, July 11th, pardon.
July 11th. It's
not
a Friday.
the 10th, it's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
2025 anyway. Michael Marks, Hayden Burks gets you caught up on everything you need to know in the SEC, and we'll start off with some headlines over the past couple of days. It was announced that Tony Vitello will be back on TV for the 2025 MLB Draft, as he'll be back as MLB Network's analyst on their day one draft coverage. That draft starts July 13th.
He's hilarious, too.
Yeah, I would say he's been great on TV the past 4 or 5 years that he's been doing this, and obviously Tennessee's going to have probably a guy selected top
2,
probably top 5. I would say right now it's heavily projections that Liam Doyle is favoring that number 2 spot to the Angels, kind of fast track him to the majors. But again, draft is July 13th at 6 p.m. Eastern time on pretty much any network. You'll be able to watch it on MLB Network, probably ESPN as well, and maybe a couple others. Yesterday, Memphis men's basketball coach Penny Hardaway took a kind of unintentional jab at Tennessee when talking about his troubles that he's had scheduling. Said, quote, "It's tough because we want to play some other teams, but the teams that want to play us, we want to play them." And then a fan out in the crowd yelled, "UT!" And Penny said, "Yeah, exactly." Kind of referring that he feels that Tennessee's kind of been dodging them. So their last 2 meetings, remember the Admiral Schofield 30-point game at the FedEx Forum. Tennessee won that one 102-92 back in 2018. The next year went from one of the highest scoring games of the year to probably the ugliest game of the year. Memphis 51, Tennessee 47. and Thompson Bowling Arena. There's a planned rematch in 2020 in Nashville to kind of close out that 3-year stretch. It was postponed due to COVID and schedule changes. And then the rematch was scheduled for December 18th, 2021, but again was put on hold when a couple of the members of Memphis men's basketball team contracted COVID-19. And, the game got postponed, game got pretty much canceled, and now there have been, other than fans kind of jawing, there's no more talks of a future matchup in this series.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of disappointed in that. Obviously, I think a lot of media and fan bases and fans overall kind of maybe helped that cause.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to blame that for the main reason, but overall, you look at the games they've had the past few. The matchups they've had. They've been really good games. I mean, it's been really back and forth. Memphis has had a resurge with Penny Hardaway as the head coach. And then obviously you look at Tennessee being a powerhouse. They made it to Elite Eight the last 2 seasons. Just getting knocked out by Houston, just unfortunate there. But they've had teams that can make it to the Final Four or something like that. And Memphis has had teams that can make it far. I mean, Memphis, they made it to the round of 32 this past year, I think, and like you were saying, the championship.
I would say they made the championship in 2009 with Derrick Rose.
With Derrick Rose in that group, yeah. So overall, like I said, I'm a little disappointed. I wish we could do some stuff like that where maybe it's kind of like a home and home type of situation. Maybe it's just one game where like they go to FedEx Forum and then the next meeting they go to Knox Forum,
stuff
back
like
and
that.
forth. It's just fun in-state rivalries like that. It'd be cool.
I would say that rivalry was all anybody could talk about when you had Calipari at Memphis and Bruce Pearl in Knoxville, two of probably the biggest egos on coaches. And now it's got a different feel with Rick Barnes and Penny Hardaway at the helm. And again, with that matchup in 2021, it was a Saturday afternoon game. And there were, after the game was canceled, there were videos that surfaced of Memphis players out on Broadway the night before partying and having a good time. And I think that kind of put a sour taste in Rick Barnes' mouth about the possibilities of scheduling Memphis in the future. That Tennessee viewed that trip to Nashville as a business trip and kind of a get back from the last time they played. And Memphis looked at it as just another non-conference game. And so I think that kind of left a bit of a sour taste in Rick Barnes' mouth. Florida's Walter Clayton, or former Florida guard Walter Clayton Jr., was named the 2025 Roy F. Kramer SEC Male Athlete of the Year. That goes to the most outstanding athlete in any sport across the SEC. Joins a couple of former Gators, Tim Tebow, Danny Werfel, and a couple of swimmers, Ryan Lochte and Caleb Dressel. So a very good crowd that he joins there as the first basketball player from Florida. Some ESPN draft experts have 5-star Tennessee commit Nate Ament as a possible number 1 overall draft pick in next summer's NBA draft. From ESPN's Jonathan Giovanni on Ament, says he's a tremendous shot maker. He's improved his passing and defensive versatility, and his ability to get his shot off almost at will gives him perhaps the highest upside of any prospect in this class. He'll be the focal point at Tennessee, allowing NBA teams to evaluate whether he can emerge as a consistently efficient winning player in the challenging SEC. And again, we saw. I thought Dalton Knecht probably should have been a top 10 pick. But
y'all heard what I said.
But just the talks of Nate Ament being possibly a number 1 pick, because I remember when we had the Jaden Springer and the Keon Johnson, neither one of them was really looked at as a potential number 1 pick, both lottery picks. But having somebody with the possibility of being a number 1 overall pick, because you look at the guys that have gone to Duke and Kansas over the years that have been the number 1 and number 2 quality picks, you're getting some very good players. Tennessee's highest ever draft pick comes from the 1968 draft. Tom Boerwinkle was the 4th overall pick, and that's the most 1968 NBA name ever.
By saying this modern era, I think the highest pick we've had was Dalton Knecht last year.
I would say Bernard
17, because I know Grant Williams went number 21. Admiral Schofield went like 35 in the second round that same year or something like that to Orlando. So
Bernard King went 7th in 1977. Dale Ellis 9th in 1983, and Allen Houston 11th in 1993 is the Tennessee's only draft lottery caliber players. And then here in the modern era, again, Dalton Knecht was the 17th pick in the 2024 draft, and Tobias Harris 19th pick in the 2011 draft. So possibly a new number 1 highest drafted Tennessee player coming up, but again, he'll have to have a big fall in spring in Knoxville this year. Former Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron ripping Hugh Freeze on his podcast. I think, in his quote, I think Hugh Freeze is trying to do whatever he can to save face. He's starting to feel pressure at Auburn going into his third year, not having the success that the alumni and the boosters and everybody donating a lot of money thought he would have by this point. I think he's trying to figure out and scramble on why they're not successful. And then the state of Alabama is ran by Alabama fans and Alabama alumni, whether you like it or not. So some strong feelings from a former Alabama quarterback. And again, no love lost between Alabama and Hugh Freeze, especially just from his past at Ole Miss and now at Auburn. I mean, I don't think anybody's necessarily looked at the situation that Hugh Freeze ran into Auburn and thought it was great. And again, their first 2 years under him have not gone as well. But I do think they have potential this year. Again, they've kind of got some high projections, but I agree with some of the things said. He's not had the success that all those people throwing all that money in there wanted because, I mean, remember, they got rid of Brian Harsin after, did he just get 1 year? I mean, it's not.
It was one. He'd be lucky if he got more than two.
Yeah.
I will say that.
And again, because he wasn't doing terrible either and had done a really good job leading
just that
leading Auburn. But, again, got high expectations. 2 years at Auburn. Went 6-7 and then was fired after 8 games in 2022.
That's right.
Cadillac Williams came back and was the interim, and then they brought in Hugh Freeze. So that situation, adding to kind of how the Hugh Freeze era began at Auburn is definitely a bit of a rough feeling, and really all Auburn fans, players, coaching staff, kind of leaving a bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah.
On3 released a list of coaches this season entering the season on a hot seat, and Hugh Freeze is on that along with some other SEC guys.
Sam Pittman, for sure.
The list features 3 SEC coaches. At number 2, Brent Venables at Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. I probably wouldn't put him over Sam Pittman, but I would say Brent Venables.
And then the other 2 SEC guys, Sam Pittman at 6, Hugh Freeze at 7. Yeah. A couple of guys I'm surprised not on this list. I would say that I don't think there's really anybody in the SEC on much of a hotter seat than Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Things went.
He ain't got nothing for him to help this year.
Well, when he got there, things weren't good. Kentucky was really bad. They were 2-10, 3-9 every year. They might win a conference game every once in a while, but then somewhere around 2016, things started turning around for the better, and they got some good recruits. Built a couple good classes, and then they had that year in 2018. In 2019, that little run where they were pretty good with Will Levis, and then after that, it's just gone downhill fast, and especially with him, almost taking that Texas A&M job back 2 years ago. He's definitely on a short leash there in Lexington. But I agree, Brent Venables at number 2 is. I don't think he should be number 2, but definitely high up there because he's not lived up to the expectations being at.
Oklahoma.
Being at Oklahoma, especially when you look at how good he was as the defensive coordinator at Clemson and all the success he brought them. But in his 3 years in Oklahoma, he's 22-17. He's had two 6-7 years, 1 10-3 year. So if maybe they can get back to that 10-3 range, because Oklahoma is a very well respected program. I mean, they've won national championships. They've got Hall of Famers, Heisman Trophy winners. But it hasn't been that since Brent Venables has been there. Sam Pittman at Arkansas, I don't think he should necessarily be. Again, I do think if you're not having success, you should be on some sort of figurative hot seat. But I don't think anybody really looks at Arkansas and says we need to have the best coach, the best players, and stuff like that. They got off to that hot start. I believe it was in 2021. They beat Texas. They had that big win against Texas, and they went down to Georgia.
Oh, what's that kid's name?
KJ Jefferson.
KJ Jefferson, yes.
They had him and Rocket Sanders in that backfield. I mean, that was a Traylon Burks on that team.
Traylon Burks,
a very good team. And then they ran into Georgia, and then I think ended up going 7-5, 8-4 that year. Not a very good year.
I think with Pittman, I think that if you're an Arkansas fan, you need to win the games. You need to win,
and I think that's the problem. Is he'll get you an upset every once in a while.
Tennessee was all last year,
but he has a problem making sure he wins those games that he should win.
Yes, absolutely.
Taking a look at Arkansas's schedule this upcoming year. I mean, they open the season against Alabama A&M and then Arkansas State, but they jump right into SEC play. Traveling to Ole Miss.
That's a loss.
They go to Memphis. That should probably be a win. Yeah. But then they host Notre Dame.
That's a loss for sure.
And then they have bye week, travel to Tennessee.
That's a loss.
That's probably a loss. And then they have that game against Texas A&M. I assume that's probably still in Dallas. Probably a loss. At home, Arkansas, that's a toss-up. Win against Mississippi State, that's a game against Mississippi State, that should be a win. But a very tough schedule. You got to go to Ole Miss. You play Notre Dame. You got to you're playing at Tennessee, at LSU, at Texas. I mean, it's a brutal schedule.
I mean, maybe they can get Auburn at their house.
I'm about to say, if you can get 4 or 5 wins this year, I don't think you need to go firing your coach and put you in a worse situation. Yeah. But for Arkansas, they do have a former head coach as their offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino, who spent some time at Arkansas. I'm not sure if I'd give him a third shot there, with how the first two stints ended. And then Hugh Freeze, again, his time at Auburn hasn't gone great, but I also don't think it's something you need to kind of abandon ship on, especially with how good his recruiting classes have been as of late. Now, his time at Auburn has been less than stellar, 6-7 and 5-7 in his 2 years, but I mean he made Ole Miss look really good for a couple of years, and then had Liberty looking really good for a couple of years. So, I mean, you give him some time to build you up a program. But this year will be a very telling year.
This is a telling year, absolutely.
If you're not having the success,
you need to be bowl eligible and win a bowl, or like 7-5. 7-5, 8-4 is the expectation.
Well, the 2023 Auburn team went to 6-6, got to a bowl game, and they played Maryland in the Music City Bowl. Let me see if I can find the final score of that game. It was not good.
Yeah, they lost pretty bad.
Yeah, I would say it was. I remember I was at the mall that day in Nashville shopping, and they lost 31-13. And seeing all the Auburn fans walking around, I'm like, man, this game's still on. Yep. And
they were leaving by halftime.
They were leaving at halftime of that one. And some kind of cool news for college football: the SCORE Act is being talked about in the House of Representatives right now. It would establish a one-time transfer rule, so it would eliminate rollback on the power athletes who are currently transferring multiple times. Yeah. And an NCAA committee is also working on a new college football calendar with a one-time only annual transfer portal window. It's at such a weird time when they open it up because it's right after conference championship games, but you can leave before the playoff starts. Yeah. And if your team's in the playoff and you're a backup quarterback and you probably aren't going to start next year and you want to go somewhere else, well, you got to leave your team.
Yeah.
And so I think working this out, giving one transfer portal window, maybe rescheduling some things would definitely pay off in the favor of some SEC fans.
Absolutely. I feel the same way too.
All right, coming up, we're going to look at how some SEC guys have been doing in the Summer League, and then we'll rank our top quarterbacks here in the SEC. Coming up next on the SEC Tailgate.
For decades, First Class Charter has provided high-quality motor coach transportation services to the Tennessee Valley. With numerous safety and cleanliness accreditations, First Class Charter is ready to make your group trip a reality. Contact us today by visiting firstclasscharter.net. First Class Charter, the official motor coach company of the North Alabama Lions.
Since 1955, Evers Construction has been the company folks have trusted for residential and commercial construction projects. Today, Evers is still the leader in building and is just as committed to maintaining. From residential to commercial and industrial, Evers' team of experts stands ready to install, service, and repair all your HVAC and plumbing needs. Specializing in leak repair, maintenance, air duct cleaning and repair, air handler service, drain cleaning, gas line work, emergency unit repair, inspections, and more. Evers Construction offers a preventative maintenance package to keep your home or business cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Trained, trusted, reliable. For more information or to schedule an appointment with the pros who know, phone 931-762-3593 or visit eversconstructionco.com. Evers Construction Company in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
Works at Home, formerly known as The Summit at Home, is a licensed non-skilled agency dedicated to helping you maintain your independence at home for as long as possible. Our compassionate and caring staff provide support in various areas, including dressing, bathing, personal hygiene, transportation, cleaning, and companionship. Please call our office about services, payment options, and long-term care policies at 931-762-2310. We look forward to assisting you with keeping your independence longer.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to the SEC Tailgate. And Hayden, right now we got the NBA Summer League coming on, guys fighting for roster spots and whatnot. And we got a ton of SEC guys playing in the Summer League here in this first week. Now everybody hasn't played yet. Obviously, some of the we had a couple of teams start this past weekend in Salt Lake City. It was about, I think, 8 teams out there.
Yeah.
So some of those other 22 have started. We had some games Thursday, but a bunch of games.
California Classic between San Antonio, Miami, Golden State, and Lakers. Of course, they play every year.
Yep.
They do that Classic before. Actually, they start doing some stuff at Salt Lake City.
Yeah, we got teams like the Celtics and the Hawks and the Pistons and the Knicks, guys like that having their first game today. But we'll take a look at how some of the SEC players have fared through the first weekend. So Saturday, Dexter Dennis from Texas A&M is playing for the Spurs, had 7 points off the bench.
Not bad.
Dalton Connect for the Lakers from Tennessee had 10 points in his first game for the Lakers.
And of course, they're not going to overdo him either.
And you're going to see guys get a variety of minutes because you got games every day, and you're not wanting to play everybody 30 minutes every day. Obviously.
Plus, you want to get other guys some looks too. That way because
Chris Magnon from Vanderbilt had 8 points for the Warriors. He got to start in their game Saturday. Jaden Shackelford from Alabama, also playing for the Warriors, got the start, had 11 points. This guy's probably going to be the Summer League MVP. I didn't know he was still even going to be playing in the Summer League, but Gigi Jackson out of South Carolina playing for the Grizzlies, is doing great. Had 20 points in his first game. Zion Pullen from Florida, also for the Grizzlies, had 8 points. He's been a very good point guard for them. A guy that didn't have a great first game, Chris Youngblood for the Thunder, coming out of Alabama. He's started to settle into his role. Another person that's having a very good summer league, Justin Edwards out of Kentucky, playing for Philly, had 13 points in their first game. Janai Broom also on the 76ers had 13 points in his first game.
How many rebounds do you have?
I think he had like 6 or 7.
Okay, that's not bad.
Not a bad game. We're starting to see his game kind of translate to the NBA, being that stretch 4 kind of guy. A guy you're going to hear his name a lot on this list, Dexter Dennis for the Spurs, has been killing it. Yes. Had 10 points on Sunday. Will Richard got his debut in the Summer League for out of Florida for the Warriors. He had 16 points. Chris Youngblood, he's been a bench player for the Thunder, but has worked his way into the starting lineup. Had 15 points off the bench on Monday. Justin Edwards had another good game. Gigi Jackson had 27 on Monday. Jemai Meshack thought he had kind of the funniest stat of the Summer League on Monday.
10 personal fouls is still
so
was
in the
+6.
I would say in the NBA Summer League you get 10 fouls instead of the 5 in college or the 6 in the pros. You get 10 fouls, and he used every single one of them in 23 minutes off the bench.
And he still managed to have a +6 stat when we were talking about.
Yeah, it's on the plus minus. Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
I would say it shows how valuable he is even when he's fouling. Got the start on Tuesday for the Grizzlies. Had 13 points and only 3 fouls. So
he's going to make his way on the roster. He'll be on the roster.
I really do think so. Aaron Estrada from Alabama came off the bench, had 14 points for the Grizzlies on Tuesday. Justin Edwards had 15 points. Kira Lewis from Alabama played a couple years ago. Was on the Heat, had 16 points in his start on Tuesday. Will Richard had a good game. Walter Clayton had his first big game, had 20 points for the Jazz on Tuesday. Jaden Springer coming off the bench for the Jazz Summer League team had 9 points, and then Dalton Connect had that big game on Tuesday, 25 points, 15 in the fourth quarter. A big game for him. Yesterday, Jeremiah Fears having his debut with 14 points for the Pelicans. Rob Dillingham, former Kentucky guard for the Timberwolves, had 15 points. Chris Youngblood got his first start for the Thunder, had 19 points. A guy that has been in the NBA for a while, Scott Labissiere, is still in the summer league. He's out of Kentucky.
I would say like 47.
It feels like he's probably getting up there. Let's see how old Scal is. I remember him. He was like a top 5 recruit in the country. He is 29.
29.
So probably
Still
one of the older guys in the summer league this year. But he had a good game, 14 points off the bench for the Magic. Dalton Knecht had 15 points for the Lakers yesterday. Miles Kelly out of Auburn had a really good game. Got the start for the Mavericks yesterday. Had 17 points, and then Dexter Dennis 14 points off the bench for the Spurs. And now, Hayden, we're gonna get in. Well,
has Sears played any yet for the Bucks?
I don't think the Bucks have played yet.
Yeah. Well, no, they played last night because they played Denver in that buzzer beater.
Let's check.
I wasn't sure
because a bunch of guys usually they'll activate half their lineup and unactivate whatever you want. No,
is he on the roster?
It doesn't have him listed here.
I wonder where he's at. Look that up. Where's Mark Sears?
Yeah, what's Mark Sears up to today?
Well, I know he got picked up. I know he did. I could have sworn it was.
I think it was the Bucks. Maybe.
Yeah, it's saying the Bucks.
So maybe I would say some guys they have listed on the roster. Some guys they don't.
He didn't dress out for the.
Okay,
that's fine.
I would say, and usually summer league teams have like 20 or 25 guys, just trying to find some guys. But I mean, you got some games starting up here, and actually.
Game's probably coming up in the next hour.
Starting here pretty soon. We'll have the Grizzlies and the Celtics, the Hawks and the Heat, Knicks, Pistons, Jazz, Hornets, Bulls, Raptors, Wizards, Suns, Clippers, Rockets, Trailblazers, Warriors. Most of these games will be televised either on NBA TV or.
If you're a Tennessee fan today, make sure to tune in for the Knicks in Denver or Detroit because you're gonna have two Tennessee guys and Ziegler and Lanier, probably two of the best players on Tennessee had this past year.
Yeah, I would say it'd be fun to see them, and then also for the Suns you'll have Jordan Gainey. I'm not sure if Igor Milicic has got any time with the 76ers yet.
Yeah.
Let me check. He is not dressed out yet. So, again, that'll be a guy we see probably later in the Summer League. When you get to the end of it, it's most of those top picks have moved on, and it's just a bunch of guys trying to fight for
actual organizations.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, Hayden, it's a list we've been working on for the past couple of days now, but we are going to rank our SEC quarterbacks for this upcoming season. For the 2025 season. Now, the way I've rated these, I've rated them based on how I think they will do right now. This could change drastically throughout the season because some teams we don't have confirmed starters, so some of those are guesses. Some teams you could get hurt, you could have a really good season. So we'll start off at number 16, Hayden, where I think we have the same guy, Zach Calzada from Kentucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach, that's just honestly me. No offense, Kentucky, but it is offensive. Me taking a shot at Kentucky, me being a Tennessee fan. Zach, obviously, getting pulled up to the start position. Really nowhere to go but up for Kentucky, especially for him. Because Kentucky's in just a bad situation. The team overall probably projected to be last in the SEC this year, so that's why I'm going to put Zach there. But then again, out of this list, like you said, it's like day one.
Yep.
And right now, how do we rank the players? So I'm going to put him at 16. We both.
Yeah, I mean we didn't see much from him. I mean he had some pretty memorable moments at Texas A&M. I believe he was the quarterback that beat Alabama in 2021. So some great moments, but again he wasn't the starter at Texas A&M leading into that year. Only was playing because of injury. So that's all we've seen from Zach Calzada. At number 15, Hayden, I'll let you go first.
I've got the Missouri quarterback
Bo Perbula.
Bo Perbula, transfer from Penn State. Sat behind as the backup. Yeah, was the backup there for Penn State. So maybe, like I said, new situation. They don't have Brady Cook as the quarterback no more. Lost their number one wide receiver to the draft this past year. So it's going to be a new look Missouri. Like I said, a lot of question marks. Missouri had that really good season 2 years ago where they beat Tennessee and beat Ohio State in the bowl game. Then you look at last year, there was a lot of expectations for Missouri, and they just really didn't live up to them. So that's why I'm going to put him at number 15.
All right, so my number 15, I'm going to go with Blake Shapen, the projected quarterback from Mississippi State heading into the year. We've seen Shapen transferred, actually, started his career out at Baylor. And, I mean, he looked good to start the season for Mississippi State. Then he got hurt, and it's just been a struggle for him. So he only played 4 games. But in those 4 games, 980 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. So looked efficient when he was out there. But again, it's a very tough SEC. Mississippi State lost a bunch of guys to the transfer portal. So not that I don't think he's a good quarterback. I just think he's going to be in a tough situation here at Mississippi State. Number 14, Hayden.
I've got Shapen
for
14.
So I'd say our 15 and 14 flip-flop.
Yeah, literally the same thing. as you said, got hurt there for Mississippi State the last year. But then again, like you said, he was efficient on the field when he was there. Looked calm, cool, and collective about the time he was there. So just, unfortunate. But then again, like I said, there's only one way for Blake to go up, and that's I think he can definitely do that for sure. Mississippi State got a lot of good recruits come in. I still don't think they'll be. If they can get a bowl game, I think that's a good season for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and again, my number 14 in Missouri's projected starting quarterback, Bo Perbula, the transfer from Penn State. He's a very good dual threat quarterback, and we haven't seen him throw a whole lot. I mean, we've seen him run the ball pretty well. He ran for almost 300 yards last year. We didn't get to see him throw the ball a whole lot. But, again, a very good dual threat kind of quarterback, which fits in with Missouri's system. And we remember Brady Cook could move around very well. And he's going to be a junior, getting his first opportunity starting in the SEC. He's kind of at the floor right now, transferring in from a Big Ten school. But, again, I think he probably has some of the higher upside out of all the guys in this list, but definitely starting at the lowest point.
Yep.
Number 13?
I've got Jackson Arnold from Auburn, transferred from Oklahoma. Didn't have really a good season at all. Oklahoma got benched in the Tennessee game, and Arnold hit the portal, went immediately to Auburn. I think it was like the next day he said he announced and committed to Auburn. Obviously, you got Hugh Freeze back at the main at the head honcho there for Auburn, maybe trying to turn around with Jackson Arnold. Has a lot of upside, was a 5-star coming into college and just hadn't really looked that good. And I don't know, in my opinion, I don't think he can really live up to the expectation. I hope I'm wrong. But then again, I'm going to go with Arnold at 13.
Yeah, and 13 for me, I got Tailgate Green from Arkansas. I only watched him play a couple of times last season. He put up really good stats against bad teams, but the problem was when he was playing, comparative competition or maybe teams that were a good bit better than Arkansas, he looked terrible. Yeah. I mean, he was getting beat up, hit around, stuff like that. Like, he didn't impress me in the game when they played Tennessee because he wasn't in. He got hurt, and their backup won that game. But Tailgate Green, he's going to have great stats this year. I just don't know if how much it's going to be able to help Arkansas win games. Okay, number 12.
I'm going to take Austin Simmons out of Ole Miss, and in my opinion, Simmons is probably the most questionable guy on this list because we really don't know, because the whole narrative with Ole Miss was Jackson Dart was the quarterback and there's nobody else. So having Austin, I believe he'll be a junior.
I believe so.
A junior, starting more than likely he'll be the day one starter. So I'm going to put Simmons at 12, but then again, it's kind of like you told me a few weeks ago, Ole Miss, this kid might be just a Heisman Trophy winner by the end of it. So I'm going to put him at 12.
Yeah, he really could be. We'll see him a little later down on my list. Number 12 for me, I got Joey Aguilar.
Okay.
Again, I kind of put him in the same boat with Perbula in the sense that transferred from an outside conference, is coming in kind of at the bottom, but he has a ton of upside. I mean, looking at some of Aguilar's stats over the past couple of years at App State, he had some really good numbers his first year in 2023. Over 3,700 yards. Just looked really, really good. Had some, interception problems, obviously. 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Last year, over 3,000 yards, which, Tennessee hasn't had a quarterback do that since Hooker, so, it'd be nice to get that back. 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions under a new offensive coordinator and coach. So, and again, App State wasn't as good last year as they typically are. Usually we see them as one of the better group of 5 teams. Last year we're playing from behind a lot, which led to the 14 interceptions. But again, Aguilar in 460 pass attempts as a junior coming out of a JUCO, 3,800 yards at 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I would take that any day of the year.
Yep.
Moving on to number 11.
I'm going to go with the Alabama number 1 starter, more than likely, Ty Simpson. We've seen Simpson before for Alabama. Came in for that USF game. Yeah, he took over the starting job over Jalen Milroe that time. Had some, you could tell he wasn't a starter. Maybe the time behind Milroe, he's learned something. Really undersized for a quarterback too. That's a concern if you're Alabama. But then again, it's Alabama. Kalen DeBoer, really offensively minded guy. I think Simpson, it's like I've been saying this whole time during this segment. There's nowhere but to go up.
Yeah, and again, I look at Ty Simpson again as a very good quarterback. He's a little higher up on my list. My number 11, Jackson Arnold, again, was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school, had all the hype. And then the first time we get to see him play for Oklahoma is in that Alamo Bowl against Arizona a couple years ago. That's who it was. And it looked good, had a couple of interceptions. And watching that game, I was kind of worried about the Oklahoma-Tennessee game the next year. I was like, this dude's tearing them up. And then just had such a slow start to the year. It seemed like Oklahoma could never really get their offense going, fired their offensive coordinator middle of the year. Arnold got obviously benched in that Tennessee game and made it back into the starting lineup by the end of the year, but it felt kind of awkward. It reminded me of that Dalton Connect when he was almost traded for the Lakers. He was there, he kind of got shoved back, and he's there, and it's just a little awkward. So Jackson Arnold, my number 11, again, could have a very good year for Auburn with all the pieces around him. But again, he didn't look too great with a bunch of pieces around him in Oklahoma.
Yeah, absolutely. So my number 10, I'm going to go with the Tennessee guy now. Joey Aguilar, like you said, a 2-year starter at App State, transferred to UCLA. Then whenever Nico jumped ship from Tennessee to UCLA, basically a trade.
Yep. Joey
goes to Tennessee. And like I said, I hope for the best. Maybe it's one of those things where transfers are the way to go when it comes to quarterbacks. You look at Joey; he had a really good season first year at App State, really good numbers. Last year, not as hot. I mean, the interceptions is a concern for me. But we've seen Heupel's offense. It's a quarterback-friendly offense for Tennessee. So I'm going to put Joey there. And like I said, I'm hoping that we have like another Hendon Hooker type year.
Yeah, and again, his transfer kind of went under the radar a little bit just because of how high-profile Nico was. So I'm hoping that him and his first time with SEC caliber players on his side. I'm intrigued to see that. My number 10, I got Marcel Reed from Texas A&M. Had a really good year when started getting some starts when they were having some problems with Connor Wigman last year. Actually, a local guy from Tennessee, went to Montgomery Bell Academy.
Yeah.
So kind of a local guy, so to speak. Didn't have the craziest passing yards, only threw for 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But where he made his hay was on the ground. Had over 500 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns. And I just remember his legs in that LSU game were really what pushed Texas A&M over the top and is what made them so competitive last year when nobody really saw that coming from them with the first-year head coach and Mike Elko. Number 9, Hayden, inside the top 10 now.
Number 9, I'm going to go with the other Bulldog quarterback, Gunnar Stockton. Obviously, we saw him come in whenever Carson Beck got hurt that one game, and they didn't want to risk him and put him back in. We saw Gunnar take over, and boy, I tell you what, that guy's tough as nails.
Yeah.
He
got drilled a couple of times.
He got drilled, absolutely. So, like I said, Gunnar, honestly, I don't know if he'll use his arm as much, obviously, as quarterback. And that offense, he probably will use it quite a bit, but I think he's more can do damage on the ground. And I mean, he's a tough guy, so that's why I've got him at number 9.
Yeah, and again, my number 9 is also Gunnar Stockton from Georgia. He's only thrown 83 passes in his career. Got some play time last year. Obviously, we saw Carson Beck injure his elbow in the SEC championship game. Gunnar Stockton comes in the second half. Didn't really look great, but it was hard to look great against Texas's defense. Obviously, probably the best secondary in the country, but did just enough to get Georgia the SEC championship win. Led them into the playoffs, ran into Notre Dame, who was, and similar to Ohio State, was kind of just beating everybody at that point in the year. So, but his first year,
losing Carson Beck the way that you did in the playoffs.
But Georgia last year had a bit of a rough receiving core. They led the country in drops. They led the country in batted balls that turned into interceptions. But so they revamped their quarterback room, revamped their wide receiver room, and I'm hoping Mike Bobo doesn't keep Gunnar Stockton from being what he can be, and I think that's a very good quarterback. Yep. Number 8, I'm
going to go with Marcel Reed this time. Literally, it's the same thing. I think the guy is probably one of the best quarterbacks when it comes to scrambling. Obviously, can use his feet very well. He's got to work on that long ball a little bit. We saw it against Texas, having to struggle there at that last game. But then again, like you said, that LSU game really kind of showed his stride and what he can do. He's probably out of the top 5 most athletic quarterbacks in the SEC, and maybe one of the top 10 in the country.
Yeah, for sure. My number 8 is Austin Simmons from Ole Miss. Again, a guy that we haven't seen a whole lot. Jackson Dart was the guy at Ole Miss for the past 2.5, 3 years now. But it's time to turn over the keys. And Ole Miss over the past couple of years, I remember, they had Matt Corral. That was the first guy that was there under Kiffin, and you're like, oh, now that he's gone, Ole Miss is in a tough spot. Well, then Jackson Dart comes in, and obviously it wasn't the necessarily the smoothest transition to start, but I mean, by this last season, everybody knew he was the guy.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a similar story with Austin Simmons. He's going to be very overlooked, but he's with Lane Kiffin. He's at Ole Miss. He's going to have talent all around him. So I got Austin Simmons at my number 8.
Yep.
Number 7, Hayden.
Taylor Green out of Arkansas, and the reason I say that is because one really good with his arm, can read defenses pretty well. Obviously, like you said, Arkansas is going to struggle, but I think just because you got to look at the overall landscape of the SEC, and when it comes to quarterbacks, a lot of question marks with a lot of teams. But Green, he knows the offense, and that's why I'm going to put him around the mid-pack.
And you know, Taylor Green, I had no disrespect to him. I kind of went off base what I think the teams are going to do a little bit, you know, because his stats were really, really good last year, over 3,100 yards through the air, another 600 on the ground. So he's putting up yardage. I just don't think what he's going to be able to do is really going to help Arkansas kind of, you know, have a much better season. My number 7, I got Ty Simpson from Alabama. Similar to Austin Simmons, has been sitting behind the guy for a couple of years. Simmons is a lot like Dart, but I feel like Simmons is a lot like Jackson Dart, but I feel like Ty Simpson is a lot different than the way Milroe wanted to play. Now, you know, Simpson's got the athleticism, but I feel like with his arm, he's a much more accurate quarterback. And looking at what Kalen DeBoer did with Michael Penix at Washington and how good he was at the end of his time, I think there's no doubt that he can turn Ty Simpson into a great quarterback. And you know, we'll do our schedule predictions a little bit down the road, but I'm just saying watch out for Alabama this year.
Yeah, so I think we probably got consensus on these last 6, so maybe they might. We know these are the top 6, top 5. But number 6, I'm going to go with John Matter.
Yeah, Mateer from Oklahoma.
Mateer, excuse me. I just kind of botched that name. But, yeah, from Oklahoma, transferred in from Washington State, had a really good year for Washington State this past year.
Yeah, over 3,100 yards.
3,100 yards,
29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, he was throwing the ball down the field over 250 yards per game. Oh, and he ran for 800 yards.
Yeah, but he's a much better quarterback pickup than Jackson Arnold. So, like I said, John Mateer, number 6, and like I said, he's going to do some damage in the SEC.
Yeah, and again, number 6 was also John Mateer for me. I mean, we're looking at almost 4,000 total yards from scrimmage. What are we looking at? 29 plus 15. That's 44 touchdowns. I mean, Washington State's offense was great last year. Weren't in the Pac-12 anymore because of you know, things that he couldn't control.
The Mountain West.
But I mean, when he was out there, he was great. I mean, he looked good. So again, I got John Mateer at number 6, and we haven't seen him in the SEC yet, obviously. But I think he's one of those people that his floor is not super low, but his ceiling could be super high. So right now I got John Mateer at number 6. Number 5?
Number 5, I'm going to go with Diego Pavia out of Vanderbilt.
Yep.
We know Diego from last year, beating Alabama. One of those guys that more than likely won't make it to the NFL. Hopefully I'm wrong, but then he's just kind of one of those underdog, beloved type of characters. And QBs, kind of everybody knows who he is now in the state of Tennessee. We'll never have to buy a meal again in the city of Nashville after beating Alabama. So Diego, obviously, I think will have another good season. We weren't sure if we were going to see him this upcoming year, but got his
extra year of
eligibility. So I'm going to put him at number 5.
Yeah, and I got Pavia at 5 as well. I mean, looking at these stats, 2,300 passing yards, only 175 per game. You're like, oh, that doesn't look crazy. But 20 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, wasn't turning the ball over a lot. And then he added 800 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. Wasn't a huge turnover problem, and that's why Vanderbilt had as good of a year as they did last year. Now, it may not have looked great in the record book, but you had wins over Alabama.
The number 1 team in the nation.
You had a win over Auburn. You had a win over, I believe Virginia Tech was ranked week 1, so that was a big win. And he kind of gave Vanderbilt some swagger that they didn't have beforehand. And obviously, you know, the vibes in Nashville are as high as ever when it comes to football season this fall. Number 4,
DJ Lagway.
Yeah,
DJ Lagway. We saw him coming in for Graham Mertz in that Tennessee game when Mertz went down. Literally was celebrating and then messed his leg up there. And ever since then, DJ, you know, we knew who he was, but once he took over after that, I mean, he just had an unbelievable end of the year there, especially in that LSU game where they ended up beating them at Florida. But I really think DJ is a dark horse Heisman candidate. I think he's one of the most athletic guys in the SEC and the nation as well. So I'm going to put him there. can scramble really well. Maybe can work on that arm a little bit more, maybe a little bit more accuracy too. But then again, if he can figure that out, he's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I think him being as good as he was really foiled plans, and he's my number 4 as well. Just because he was so good in the spring and the summer that they almost had no choice but to play him. And the initial plan was just kind of, I think it was to ride Graham Mertz out for this last year, and then we'll get Lagway a year of experience. He'll come back as a sophomore and be ready. Well, that first game against Miami, plans kind of got thrown in the blender when Mertz got injured in that game, and Lagway had to come in, and you're like, okay, so what are we doing? And by the Tennessee game, they had maybe done it a couple games before that. They had it was going to be 3 drives for Mertz, 3 drives for Lagway, and they would alternate. And then obviously Mertz goes down, tears his ACL in the Tennessee game. Lagway comes back, and looks really good. I mean, he's athletic, ran for over 100 yards, threw for over 1,900 yards, and he looked good. But his problem was interceptions. 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year. If he can get the interceptions down and the completion percentage up, I mean, Florida is already looking to be in a good spot this year, but they could be in a much better one with Lagway playing as well as everybody thinks he can.
Absolutely. So for my top 3, and I was pondering this
it
all
could go in
last
any
night.
order.
It could go any order. And I really think this guy's legit. I think he'll have a good season this year, and he definitely will be a good player in the NFL. He will be playing on Sundays. I'm going to go with Lenore Sellers out of South Carolina. Really like his play. Probably the fastest quarterback in the SEC when it comes to his legs. South Carolina off of a good year this past year. A lot of people could have put South Carolina in the playoffs, and they're probably, one of my favorites to win the SEC. Maybe they're an 8-4, 9-3 team, and I could see them definitely winning 10 games possibly.
Yeah,
it's not out of the picture. I could see them upsetting Clemson too in that rivalry game. So give me Sellers for this number 3.
Yeah, fun fact for that, Cade Klubnik in 2 starts against South Carolina has thrown 0 touchdowns against the Gamecocks. So my number 3, I got Arch Manning. Again, this will be his first year starting. He played a lot last year. Him and Quinn Ewers Ewers got hurt for a little bit. Arch had to step in, looked really good when he did. Over 900 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, so he's not turning the ball over a lot. And he gives you a kind of an extra gear that neither Eli or Peyton had, but Grandpa Archie had. He can run.
Yeah.
Arch is fast. He had that long touchdown run. I think it was like Texas State or something like that. Yeah. And that first game he started looked really good. And again, this will be his first year starting. He'll be a junior this upcoming year. He's set for under Quinn Ewers for 2 years, who, despite being I think a 6th or 7th round pick, was one of the more talented quarterbacks in college football last year. And he's got Steve Sarkisian as his head coach, who is a offensive guru. So I think Arch Manning is primed to have a great 2025 as well as the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Arch as my number 2 for Texas. Everything you said there, I'm really impressed, especially after last year. His legs is what really won me over. We knew he had the arm. He for his age too, as a freshman, and what we saw last year as a sophomore. I mean, his IQ is he's looked like a 5th-year senior. So then again, I think he's going to have a really good season with Texas. Obviously, we knew it was a waiting game for him, and then once Ewers sitting underneath him and knowing when his time would come, it's just you got to look up the upside at Arch Manning, and I think he's going to be another Heisman candidate for sure.
Yep, and then my number 2, Lenore Sellers. Again, love the guy. I think he is primed to have the possibly the best season out of any quarterback in the SEC. I mean, last year was his first year starting as a redshirt freshman. 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I love guys that don't turn the ball over a lot, and especially as a young guy. So if he can cut that 7 down to maybe like a 5, and throw 25, 30 touchdowns this year, the sky's the limit. And then, he can also run. Again, we talk about being one of the fastest quarterbacks in college football. Ran the ball over 150 times, had almost 700 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. So, that's a guy right there putting up 3,500 yards and 25 touchdowns for you as a redshirt freshman for South Carolina.
Yeah.
Imagine what he can do this next year. Again, it's going to be his 3rd year under Shane Beamer. South Carolina, the another team where the vibes are high going into this year, and look out for the Gamecocks in 2025. And then our number 1,
we've got the same.
The same guy, Garrett Nussmeier
out of LSU. Nussmeier had a really good season. Another one of those guys that kind of had to sit and wait his turn. After the job for Oh, I'm blanking on his name at Washington.
Mateer.
No. God, Daniels.
Oh,
Daniel.
yeah.
There we go. Yeah, it took me forever. I saw his face. I just blanked on the name. But yeah, we saw. It's just one of those things where it's LSU. You look at the guys that kind of had to sit and wait, and Nussmeier has done that part. Started last year, really good numbers. I think had over 3,000 yards passing, maybe just short of that.
No, he had 4,000. 4,052 passing yards.
But I mean, he was just unreal when it come to slinging the football. Kind of had a little bit of an interception issue this past year.
Led the SEC in interceptions with 12, but again, over 4,000 passing yards.
Exactly. So the guy can read.
He can sling it. 29 touchdowns. He's not as athletic. Actually had negative rushing yards last year, probably from getting sacked all the time. But again, I think he's probably everybody's number one going into the year. Maybe a couple guys have like someone like Arch or something like that at number one.
Like I said, it's one of those things where out of those three, you can move them around.
Yeah, and again, I think for in college football, when you're looking at passing yards, anybody over 2,500, that 2,800, that's kind of on the lower end, but good enough. Guys in 3,000, you're like, okay, this is a pretty good quarterback. If you're throwing for over 4,000 yards in a season, whoa.
That's Heisman numbers.
Yeah, and again, he's some people have him as the number one pick coming into the year. He's going to have to get the interception numbers down again because his interception percentage wasn't very high due to how many pass attempts he had, but it definitely hurt some games. I think he had 3 against Texas A&M.
That Florida, I know it hurt.
Yeah, and Florida was not a good game for him. But again, that's just letting a game get to you. Yeah. If he can keep it, more like a pick here, a pick there, and not like 4 here, 3 here.
So hopefully have a good year because he'll be a second-year starter now under that offense for Brian Kelly.
Yeah, and again, things are kind of looking up in Baton Rouge as they're heading into the 2025 season. But that'll do it for our episode of SEC Tailgate. We'll be back next week. We got a busy week. We got we're going to rank coaches, not quarterbacks. We have quarterbacks today.
Monday.
We're going to preview SEC Media Days and get you ready for the week. But for Michael Marks, Hayden Burks, this has been the SEC Tailgate. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.